Morning, people. My name's Darren. I'm an addict. I woke up about 5:30. I've been for a walk around the town, but I've got no battery on my phone. So I fell asleep about 2:30. And I woke up at 5:30, sleeping in my car. It's the only thing I've got left in my life. 20-year-old car. Luckily, it's only done 72,000 miles and got full service history. It's been about 5 people that have been after that as well. So I've parked roughly about 10 minutes walk from a recovery centre, so it's saving me 13 miles journey every day and 13 mile journey back, so that's 26 miles, because I've got to be frivolent with my money. Vape's just run out. Do you know, it's horrible, absolutely horrible when you have fags. I'm sure I had 3 packets of fags and I gave someone a lift yesterday, and I'm sure they've took the rest of my fags out my boot. So done lots of talking yesterday to a lot of people, and also went to a meeting. One thing I never done before was, well, I got numbers, but I never stored them in my phone or never phoned them. But I've been to a meeting every day this week. I'm day 4, by the way. Just for today, I'll get my head down on the pillow, well, in my car with my sleeping bag. Another day clean. So I've done 5 months last time, eating a plant-based diet, having lion's mane, training, going out with my camera. Taking pictures, because that's my meditation, frees my mind. But I've been having a lot of conversations and speaking a lot more. At the recovery centre I go to, we have a feelings group, and then we have a topic, and I'm speaking a lot more. I've got a belly full of recovery, and I know it's certainly better than the dark days. The squirrels just run down the fence and run across the road. It's an important day for me today, because I've been to the recovery service before 6 days a week and gone to 4 or 5 meetings, maybe 6, 7 meetings a week, going out at weekends with recovery seekers to the Peak District, to Lincoln, doing all the wonderful things, taking in the sunset. I've just talked to a woman. She's going to be a beautiful day. Every day we're above ground is a beautiful day. So I accidentally 3 days ago ended up in a hotel. I don't want to go full details into the story, but I ended up into a hotel. Belly's rumbling, I'm hungry. And as I was leaving the hotel, I said to the guy, sorry if my room smells musty. I've sprayed my Invictus aftershave, which is really expensive. That my last partner, that's when I relapsed, when I got another partner, after 5 months of doing it on my own. Lost my trail of thought. So I relapsed when I got a partner, because everything I do is not good for me, and that's every single thing in my life. So smoking, taking substances, losing my driving license, difficult situation when I walked away from my wife 14 years ago through financial abuse, and I thought I was going to lose the family home, so I took a debt relief order, and I haven't seen my children since. But I was married for 10 years, and apart from alcohol and the last 2 years where I was on prescribed medication, antidepressants, I had a pretty good life. I was an area manager for Anglia Ruskin University, ocean contract cleaning, Warwick District Council. I had the keys to Warwick District Council buildings, cemeteries, offices. Whitefriars, the biggest housing association I had, was over 52 grand between us, but there was always bills unpaid. I won't go into that, but someone was spending money somewhere and leading a double life, I think. Well, I know. But I've tried doing it on my own, and I've lived in 92 different places, probably more, hostels, new flats, brand new flats, twice over. The penthouse suite they called my last flat, but that got cuckooed, and I was moving the furniture out because I had 2 big bedrooms to put cannabis farms in there, as well as the substance of my choice. And they give me very little, to be fair. So just to feed my habit, I had people in my property. But it started this time around with my substance of choice about 2.5 years ago, and I split up with a woman. The first actual bit I had was I had toothache, and I said this will cure it. Friends. So I had it, and it got rid of my toothache. Done a lot of other stuff as well, but I was homeless when I come back from Thailand, and I done 3 months in Bristol. And for the first 2 weeks when you're homeless, you go to the council, because I had letters supporting domestic abuse from my doctor. They have a duty to house me. I can go anywhere in the country, and believe me, I've lived in every part of the country. Southampton, Grimsby, Warrington, Leamington. Lived in the Peak District in a tent, doorways. Had my jaw broken in Grimsby by youths. I was sleeping, and 2 lads were at a distance, says going at the homeless man. One guy ran over, and as he ran over, I stood up out my sleeping bag and he ran off. 30 seconds later, another guy come round and says, "What you done to him?" He's only 16. I says, "I've done nothing." He goes, "Well, I want a piece of you," and hit me with a hammer. Second time I've had my jaw broke, by the way, in my life. But he broke my left condyle, and I had 2 metal plates, and my teeth are not the best from that, and also the abuse of my substance of choice. But it started, I locked myself in my house for a year and a half, 18 months, and I had distress tolerance therapy because when I come back from Thailand, I done the 3 months in Bristol, and I done like I think I got robbed 18 times in 3 months of all my belongings. I was in tents, I was outside banks. I didn't beg, but I got a lot of money. People heard my story. I started up a Facebook page called The Streets Britain's Ever-Growing Homeless Community, and I used to use the Wi-Fi. I was lucky to have a phone. I kept my phone. I was on the streets. I didn't do any substances when I was in Bristol for 3 months, and it was like a holiday. I come back from Thailand. It was a hot spring. I come back in the March. It was a hot spring. It's a beautiful park by the river. The first night I slept, there was a monument with a squirrel on fiberglass, and it was a big tarpaulin and scaffolding and boards, and it was all protected right by the river. And I had a sleeping bag, and it was comfortable. Till some sick people. Spice was rife in Bristol, and when them people found out where I was stopping, there was excrementing in the monument, so that become unlivable. And then I was in St Paul's in Bristol. If any of you know St Paul's in Bristol, it's not the most desirable of places, and we had to queue up about 3 o'clock in the afternoon to get a bed. That was the queue, and they used to come round at 7 o'clock. So 4 hours every day I wasted my life having fights, getting angry. I was very angry. I was scared because I knew about 4 months and before I went to Thailand that I was going to be street homeless, and all my family told me don't be so stupid. But I come back from Thailand and they wouldn't let me, because I didn't work. And I went to Thailand because I went 3 times to Thailand because Christmas is the hardest time without your kids. So I travelled as far as escapism. I've escaped all my life, 92 properties, going to Thailand, driving around, going to Hull. Look at my photography. I've been Fistral Beach, I've been Hull, I've been everywhere. And it's always been escapism. But when I come back from Thailand, my family wouldn't have me back in the house, mainly because of a very ignorant, old-fashioned, fascist, racist, homophobic man that was, well, I'm not going to say because I don't want to cause arguments who the person was. So I done 3 months in Bristol and had my belongings, and I got fed up of it. But we used to queue up at this night hostel, and then at 7 o'clock they used to take your names, and it was the first 18 that were in the queue. That's why we had to queue up so early, that you got in. But there's a paranoid, schizophrenic bloke that keeps starting on me, and then if I go in and number 18, so they used to take our names at 7. Then we used to go for food and come back for 9. So that's 3 till 9. That's 6 hours we wasted with a bit of food. And when I got in there, there used to be a few extra trying to get beds. And if it was a woman, I wouldn't let a woman see a woman sleeping on the street. So I used to go and sleep elsewhere. They put me in a church. But for the first 7 nights, I think I got turned away 3 times because my name weren't in. All different reasons. I can't remember now because this was 2016, 2017, and what we now, 2025. Wow, how time it goes. But I didn't touch any substances when I was then 3 months homeless. And I started this vlogging and Facebook page, The Streets Britain's Ever-Growing Homeless Community. And I got a lot of help and support. And someone offered me a place in, I can't remember the place, between Lincoln and Grimsby, in quite a secluded place. But the woman had a problem with substances. I decorated her house, I ripped the carpets up, stripped the walls, painted the things, and then the one day she says it's not going right after a weekend session, and I just walked. I just grabbed my bag and didn't speak to her, I didn't do nothing. I went to Newark, and they put me in a night shelter in Lincoln because there's nothing in Newark. So I went to this place in Lincoln, this night shelter, and the bus driver actually dropped me outside. He went off the route and he dropped me outside. Believe me, in this world, there are some lovely, 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 lovely people. Just going back, when I was in the hotel accidentally in the hotel the other day, I said, sorry if my room smells musty, but I washed my trainers sprayed them with Invictus and washed them with Lynx and put them by the window. And I come down in the morning and said to the hotel receptionist, my room will smell musty because I've only got one pair of trainers. I said I put clean socks on. So just had a message, the gifts of recovery. So a gentleman says, wait there, what size are you? I said, size 7. He says, sit there. And he come down with 3 pairs of trainers. And I had a tenner to my name. I paid 65 quid with my breakfast for the hotel, and I could ill afford it. But there was issues the night before, and the woman says, you've got to pay for it. You've reserved it. You've got to pay for it. So I thought, well, it's a bed. I haven't had a bed for 4 or 5 weeks. I've been sleeping in my car this time because of issues. I'm in a HMO. The last year I've been in HMO in Handsworth in Birmingham, walking the streets at 3 o'clock with a Moncler jacket, fake Moncler jacket, being who I am, being offered all kinds of substances, and being shouted postcodes at. I lasted there one day. First bloke I met in there, I can get you any substance you want. So I did a little bit. But tracking back, I moved from Bristol to this place, and then the woman had issues with substances. So I ended up in Lincoln, and I done the first night when I was doing my Streets Britain's Ever-Growing Homeless Community, the Facebook page. It no longer exists because I've had a lot of haters and I've had to hide offline because of what happened to one of my homes. But I went to Lincoln, and while I was in Lincoln, I was at this night shelter, and a guy robbed my bag, and he had my bag, and I saw him with my bag. So I was outside the night shelter, and I ran over with my arm in the air, like to point at him, but they had it on camera. They said it was aggressive behaviour. I was angry. I was street homeless. I've lost every single thing. I'm a photographer. Last year I was filming DJs. If you look at my YouTube on the Foam Fest, at the very end of the video, you'll see me in a white shirt dancing on No Chemicals, No Substances, No Drink with Groove Rider and Harry Shotter. That was organised by Kenny Ken. I think that was 3 years ago. So Foam Fest 23. It's on my YouTube. Look at my YouTube. It's in my bio. But while I was there, the first night there was a guy called Paul, somebody or other, that done homelessness, and I had a big community from this Streets Britain's Ever-Growing Homeless community, and someone come all the way from Hull with a tent, not nice forks, food, party food that had been left over and different stuff, and I camped in a tent right next to the gym so I could shower. The gym was $14.99 a month, so I could shower. And then I took up ultra white collar boxing, and I actually give up smoking on the streets, because in Bristol there used to be posters, don't be a Spice Girl, because of the nubs, if you pick nubs up, and that's one of the most degrading things you have to do. Even the last couple of weeks I've had 44 pence for 2 weeks, because I've just gone from ESA, amalgamated from ESA to Universal Credit, and they're paying me £5 every 2 weeks. I do get my ESA and I do get my PIP. I suffer from schizoaffective disorder. I've been multiple diagnosed. So when I was 19, so that's a long time ago, that's 29 years ago, because I'm 48, grandfather of 3. When I was 19, my nan passed away I remember it clearly, on a Monday. And then 7 days later, my mum walked in and told me that the bloke that I knew as my dad, but today I believe he's not my biological father, and I don't believe my mum's told the truth. He was a paranoid schizophrenic. Look at all the videos, especially the one with the writing on. My father locked us up in the house, not allowed to see family, not allowed to see friends, washing, bathing. Taught me how to clean, cook, starch a shirt, and I love my father. My mum was never there. She was always there with another bloke or doing whatever, every babysitter, molesting us. My uncle molesting most of my cousins. I've been to the police 6 times, but it's been ignored. And then by a lodger when I was 14, I was sexually molested as well. But when I was in Lincoln, my Facebook page, the Streets Britain's Ever-Growing Homeless Community, took off. And a gentleman called Roger, somebody or other, freaking dark village, real dark village in the middle of nowhere between Lincoln and Grimsby again, took me in. And I met a woman, another relationship. And the bloke took me in, but I was so isolated, and he was working, and it was pitch black. I think there's 52 houses in the village, and people that move there never move away. The census there, the people that move there die there. So it was very, what was it called? Briggsley or something like that. It wasn't Brig, it was Briggsley or something like that. And I got with a woman. She smoked substances, very violent towards me. I remember clearing a shed out the one day, and she went for a screw or a thing, and the next thing I know, I'm trying to put the shelf up, and a drill comes at the back of my head, and I had my camera phone in my face, and then she hit a child. And that bugs me, because I never done anything wrong with my kids. I went through family court, I went through magistrates, highlighted 14 infactualities with independent third-party evidence. I had 6 CAFCAS reports chucked out of court. I went to Crown Court, and instead of putting the written evidence, I tried to speak on the Queenship. When I mean the Queenship is a court, I tried to speak, and the judge just went along with the original thing of what CAFCAS said and stuff. So I basically got screwed over, and I joined Fathers for Justice. YouTube Seas of Winchester on YouTube, and you'll see me protesting. But Fathers for Justice is just a whole lot of weird people. But I ended up in this Brigsley or whatever it is with a woman. No drugs again. When I was in Lincoln, by the way, I had an ultra white collar boxing for charity for cancer research. It'll be on one of my YouTubes, but I can post links to that. So this girl that I met lived in Grimsby. So I think I'd done 3 months in Bristol. I actually slept outside a bank in the end because it was the safest place in Bristol because all my belongings go missing and there's people going in the water. I think there was 12 bodies found in the water in Bristol. So it's an amazing place and liberal place, and they vote Green Party and amazing city. I remember the first time I ever went to Bristol, and I seen a shoplifter when I was going down to some place near Weston-super-Mare. There was blood all over the streets. First shop we went in, someone was shoplifting, and it wasn't the most desirable place. Every city has its bad points. I lived in Birmingham for 23 years in my youth, and cities are very dangerous, especially like when I just mentioned places like Handsworth. So I ended up in Grimsby, and I'd done about 3 months in there, but with this woman, a volatile mood. She was smoking marijuana. And me being temperamental and my moods, my mental health, I was put on different meds. I was put in a psychiatric hospital. Voluntary, I walked out. Shouldn't have, but I walked out. And the one night I fell out with her, I slept in a doorway, and that goes to where I got my jaw broken. It was in the newspaper. I was in Hull Royal Infirmary. And I always remember the first time I got my jaw broke when I was about 17, 18. It fucking killed, man. When the kid hit me, the one had a knife and the other guy had a knuckle duster. So I went over the picket fence, pulled the guy with a knuckle duster tight towards me so I couldn't get stabbed. And he got a punch in with a knuckle duster, a couple. And my jaw was hanging. And he said, I think they run away saying, I think he's had enough. And I chased him down the road. And then after that, mate, fucking days, even in the hospital, before my operation, it was so sore. And I was in Lincoln again. My first baby mum, relatives lived in Lincoln, and they're all eating Lincolnshire sausage, and I'm sucking stuff through a straw, and it killed, man. It bloody really hurt. But the second time, because I feared the pain, and I broke it in 3 places, so my left condyle and 2 plates this time. But because I was expecting so much pain, it didn't hurt. So, like when you go for a needle, you think, oh, it's going to hurt. But because it hurts, like when you was a little kid or whatever, it never really hurts. So, but I'd done a bit of marijuana with this woman, and that didn't do me no good. I'd done CBD oil. That did me good. But I was in hostels, night shelters, all over the place in them 9 months. And then I decided to go back to Leamington Spa, near to my kids. And when I was there, all I knew for 9 months was homeless people, and I was around whites and bees, spice, amphetamines, all sorts of stuff, IV injecting. But I never took substances. My only aim was to get myself settled accommodation, but I've had 92 places in my life. I've always escaped. So I moved back to Leamington Spa, and I met some people, some poorly people, homeless again. There's a lot of poorly people that are homeless, either mental health, soldiers that can't go indoors. There's 7 types of homeless people. I can't remember them now, but there's a lot of them that are poorly people with addiction problems, and it opened my eyes. But when I moved to Leamington Spa, I had these 4 friends. Their addiction was hidden into probably what I believe the worst drug, which was hidden from me. But they decorated my flat, and they used to call it the penthouse suite. I had my own art gallery with my photography, my canvas, 2 big bedrooms, 2 Juliet balconies looking over the River Avon, oak side units. I get everything off Facebook Marketplace, so I get everything cheap. I'm frivolent with my money. I was an area manager and managed £1 million contracts like Angela Ruskin University for ISS. So I'm good with mathematics. At the age of 5, I was moved up a school year because I was faster than a calculator. And that's what got me good. I started cleaning toilets, and then I moved to install cleaning manager for Tesco's. And then I started doing new builds and diamond grinding and stuff like that. And then I moved on to another company where I was an area manager, Goldcrest in Warwick. It was part-time when we had our babies, and my wife went back to part-time. There's a lot of stuff. I worked for a director. I won't mention names, but he was an ex-police officer, and he got done for sexually molesting boys. And when I found out, I left that company. I've had some really good jobs. Travelled the world. I've been to Thailand 3 times. But when I was in Grimsby, this Roger took me into schools and done speeches. I was part of. I had a lot of homeless charities that I worked with because of the Streets Britain's ever-growing homeless community. So I had a lot of awareness of around the world. Not around the world, but I was in Thailand. I had friends. I met friends from Hungary, Poland, Julia, Martina from Italy that lived in London, Marteus. I've got a tattoo, Hostel 69 in Koh, one of the most dangerous islands in the world where the backpackers got murdered. But I don't see that in Thailand. What I seen when I went there, because it was I went 3 Christmases because it's the hardest time not to see your kids. So I travelled as far as I could. And it's sex, drugs, rock and roll, not with prostitutes, but I met a Russian, Privyat, Spasibo, La Beauty Bear. Dated her, Swadikap, My Pen Rai, Kopanka, few Thai words. I'm not bilingual, but I've been to Thailand 3 times for 23 days, 30 days, and I extended my visa by another 30 days in Phuket. I've been to Maya Bay. I'll post the pictures on here where the beach was filmed. Leonardo DiCaprio. And this Roger got me into schools. I can't remember the company in Grimsby. There was a guy called Terry that used to go in an outreach van. There was a guy called Dave that used to do the soup kitchen, and they used to put you up and give you food parcels. let me tell you, when you're homeless, when I was in Bristol, as I said, it was like a holiday. And I'd just come back from Thailand. But you could eat 5 breakfasts a day. 5 cooked breakfasts a week out of 7. You could eat 7 times a day. I got Tommy Hilfiger jumpers. I was an area manager. I had better clothes. You had socks every day, toiletries, bags of toiletries that you could get. Pants, socks, showers, Salvation Army, churches, everything. But all these charities, I personally think, my motto is, if you've got a fiver in your pocket and your belly's rumbling, I grew up in a very, very poor area in Burton-on-Trent. And my mum had nothing. And I had hunger pains once going to Jodrell Bank, the science place. What was it called? The Space Centre in Jodrell Bank in Leicestershire. And I had hunger pains. So my theory on it is, if you've got a fiver in your pocket and you've got a hungry belly, or you want to go and score drugs, believe me, my choice would be to fill my belly. But these charities are filling people's bellies. People that are on good money on ESA, maximum PIP, and they're still using these facilities. Food banks are still using this because of their addiction or their problems or their mental health, or just to even socialise. I used to go to these places to socialise. But I went into schools and they says, what does a homeless man look like? Because I've always had my camera and I was recording him. He says, what does a homeless man look like? And they says, let me tell you, they asked a few questions. It was at the Harvest Festival and we went into 2 or 3 schools. And they says, would you be surprised if I told you Darren, the cameraman, is homeless? We can come back one day and speak in class. But as we finished the assembly in Harvest Festival, this Roger, to raise awareness on homelessness, because there was a lot up Grimsby about homelessness. There is everywhere. I know organisations like the LWS go into colleges and universities and talk about homelessness. It's a big issue in the UK today. And there's some debates. A lot of debates around that, but I'll leave that for another video. But anyway, the teacher grabbed us before we left, after we'd done this Harvest Festival, and says, can you spend 10 minutes in the classroom? So, I'm homeless. Well, semi-homeless. Obviously, I've never really had a home in the last 14 years that I could call home. And then 92 properties, some of them I used to decorate and wander off. But we went into this classroom and the teachers asked the kids to ask me some questions. And it's just silence. And then the teacher turned around and said, right, go outside into the hallway. You've got 3 minutes and come back with your questions. And I had to answer them questions because these kids were like no older than 7. Or they certainly weren't 11, so I think it was an infant school I was in. And they're asking me about the streets and homelessness. And all I seen was drugs, robberies, violence, and craziness. And I can't tell that the kids. I couldn't swear. I swear a lot. I haven't swore in this video, but I swear a lot because I'm an angry person. But all through that, apart from a bit of marijuana, in the 9 months, I never took substances. I give up smoking. I've done ultra white collar boxing. I used to go to the library, done research. I've done a photography course, Shore Academy online to learn my photography, self-taught. In the Peak District, I was with a Polish guy, Marcin. He was the best photographer you could ever imagine. And I learned from him. But I ended up moving back to Leamington Spa, and I had to sleep in my own flat with my iPad, my iMac, and all my belongings under my pillow, because these people were like in addiction. There's theft, robbery, breaking into cars, walking around at night. I don't want to go into that because it's a different thing. But basically, it ended up with me having distress tolerance, because for 18 months I knew what was going to happen. I hung around with homeless people for nearly a year. They were IV injecting multiple substances, many substances, and I sat in a house with 5, 6 people, kids left on their own because they were next door, but they was in this house smoking crack cocaine, and a lot of it around me. So I'm a vulnerable person. I consider myself vulnerable. I don't know what my mental health is. I'm currently diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, but when I was sectioned, I was using, so I think that was drug induced. I did have a diagnosis in 2014 with ADHD, but never medicated, and an EUPD, which is emotionally unstable personality disorder. So I am quite vulnerable. I'm caring. I give everything away. I can't have an electric man at the door when I had a family home, because if they said change the bill or change the supplier, I can't say no. I don't know the word no. I couldn't say no to my dad. I've never been able to say no. He spoke to me support work yesterday. Darren, why'd you give everything away? Why'd you give your money away? Schizoaffective disorder is bipolar with schizophrenia, and you're supposed to see images and hear voices. But all that, I think that was drug induced. So that's why I've got that diagnosis. And I spoke to my CPN in depth about that. But she says, until you've gone into where I'm going and had some good clean time, we can't reassess you. But while I was in Leamington Spa, I'd done 18 months distress tolerance. I locked myself in the flat. I told the psychiatrist that they'd give me a 10 shot of crack cocaine. And I said, when I was coming out of it, because the only people I knew was homelessness and socialising, so I was going down to the homeless shelters. She goes, Darren, that's where they give you the crack cocaine. You need to stay away from them places. I went to the gym. For 3 years, I tried to make other friends, but I was angry. People thought I was nuts. I used to just get out night hostels and go to Bristol, and I went to Perranporth and Fistral with other guys. I'm very sporadic, nomadic photography. Nomadic means no. Well, it doesn't mean no home, but a travel person or whatever. I don't look it up in the dictionary. But it's called Nomadic Media, my business, Nomadic Media One, and it's still at Company House, I think. But basically, my addiction led the first 5 weeks. The first time I ever took it, I split up with a girl in West Bromwich, and I drove back to Leamington Spa, and I seen a guy, and I don't know why. I just said to him, "Can you get me crack cocaine?" He said, "Yeah," and we done £500 in that night, and spent a lot of money in 5 weeks. But I give up smoking, so I went to an organisation called CGL, Change Grow Live, in Leamington, and they basically laughed at me. He says, "You've just substituted tobacco for crack cocaine." But they give me these smart meetings, but it was advised on smart meetings. Someone said to go to NA, it's a physical meeting. Never heard of NA before. And a guy, I'd say a friend, another addict, all my friends were addicts, said to me, Darren, this is the wrong game for you. Yeah. And he went to my girlfriend's because we had a season ticket. She lived in West Brom. I had a season ticket at West Brom. And I took him because I got a season ticket for 160 quid with my PIP letter, and I could take a companion. So this guy went down and he explained to my girlfriend, Darren's never done this. He's wrong person. And he took me to my first NA meeting. I went in there and everyone hugged me and they talked about God. And I had a big problem with God because we had to pray at the table at my nan's when I was a little kid, and she was Christian. And my dad, when I said I didn't believe in Jesus, about me, but my dad was a paranoid schizophrenic. Well, I say my father, his non-biological father, but I known him for 17 years as my father. It took a long time to realise, well, it come out that he wasn't my father, which got me sectioned the first time when I was 19 when my nan and dad died. But I'd done 5 weeks of taking crack cocaine, spent a fortune, sold everything. It's a powerful drug. Any drug, any substance is a powerful substance if it's got the grip of you. But I went to this NA meeting, and I went there, and they said, keep coming back. They mentioned about God. And my mate, he ran away. He says, I ain't going there. They're all God preachers. I'm never going back. So I had to go on my own, and I did go back on my own. And I picked up a different coloured key ring. And I thought, fucking hell, I've done 30 days. And for some reason, because I'd done 30 days, I thought I could reward myself. So I went and done some more crack cocaine. And then I had a bigger gap and I got another different coloured keyring. I done 60 days and then I rewarded myself again with more crack cocaine. And I've never got to 6 months. I've relapsed 5 times. I've done it for about 27, 28 weeks in 2.5 years. Spent a lot of money. I've just lost a 2.5 grand camera in Cashbro, in crack converters. That saved me a few times because it was a choice of crack cocaine on my camera, and my camera's more important, but I've actually lost it. But where I'm going, I should be able to save some money and get a bigger and better one. Well, that's my optimistic view and what I said yesterday. So that's like just part of homelessness, like over that year and a half. But what happened was my addiction and the crack cocaine got that powerful that I had to do stuff, forced to do stuff that I didn't want to do. And when I say the first 5 weeks, because I didn't take another substance to bring me down, I was constantly on it every second for 5 weeks. And I was around very sick people. And there was a lot of illegal activity. Stuff that I didn't want to do. And I used to pop off to my mum's. So like the 5 weeks, then I'd go to my mum's, save me money, sort me bills, and it was a 3-month cycle to get back on track. So every 3 months, I got back to where I was before, and hiding from the people because I didn't want to be doing the stuff I was being forced to do. But eventually, I invited some people into my house that supplied me with my drug of choice and other drugs. And they started moving my furniture out and was going to, I had 2 big bedrooms. I had a really nice flat, as I said before, in Warwick. And I was going to put cannabis farms in there. I had no phone. I pawned it in crack converters, or they took it. I don't know, but I've pawned everything in crack converters. I've probably got receipts from crack converters longer than the NHS waiting list, to be fair, what I've pawned in. Because you do. Don't listen to me. Look on recovery channels. Chicken picking. Holes in your pockets. Burnt fingers. Burnt hands. It's horrible, horrible drug, crack, cocaine. Or whatever substance. Alcohol. Cigarettes. You've seen me smoke loads on this video. But they took over my flat, and I had to go somewhere to keep myself safe. And I moved away from there, and it's just been HMO, hostel, Hillfields in Coventry, the front line, prostitution, drugs, Handsworth in Birmingham, prostitution, drugs, crime. Going back to my hometown where I got abused, YMCAs, people knocking your door, knowing your payday, taking all your money. I had to have my mum manage my money because I bought bipolar. Even though I'm frivolent with money and buy things cheap, I give everything away, and I can't control that. But I'll leave it on one positive. So I've relapsed 5 times. I've just done 5 months, and then I relapsed after this last relationship. And then I picked a white key ring up. I've got more. Well, I think I've picked 7 white key rings up. It's getting as close as much as I've smoked the actual white itself, to be honest. And someone actually said to me 2 or 3 weeks ago, this is the last one you're getting. You're picking up, not like nastily, but this is the last one to encourage me. But then 4 days ago, I asked for a light at hospital because I didn't want to be alone. We went for a walk with this said sick person, the latest said sick person. Being homeless, living in my car. So it is when you're on the homeless circuit, it's you meet sick people. And I had 2 scrapes of a pipe in a chewing gum container, a big round one with a bell on it, so it didn't even affect me. So I'm only 4 days clean. But I'm going to the recovery centre now, and it will be open at 8:30. And I'll be going there 6 days a week. But I've got my referral for a rehab today. Thank you if you've watched the video. Share it if you think anyone's going to get anything from it. There'll be lots more videos. I've had YouTube channels and it's been very successful. There's a lot of negativity in social media and a lot of haters, and I've done a lot of damage and I've caused a lot of people hurt speaking out over social media. But as one of my videos says, I'm going to shout it loud and proud because it's my time. I'm a 3-year-old boy in a 48-year-old's body, and I know recovery is going to be lifelong. I've told a few people it's lifelong. It's not you go in for 3 months. It's day by day, just for today. Each 24 hours, each minute, each 30 seconds, each hour, but day by day, you have to get your head on the pillow clean for the rest of your life. It's going to be hard work, man. I'm going to have feelings. I've got feelings now. I've got tears in my eyes, man. But you know what? I'm happy. This rehab, I'm only going to get what I put in. I'm going to get a lifetime's worth of therapy in the space of, I don't even know how long the program is, 16 weeks, something like that. Right, I need to go and get some connection, guys, from the recovery community. It's been a long video. Just me telling my story. And I'll leave it there. My name's Darren and I'm an addict.